Already we've had 8 matches completed in this winners group. So we're getting deep into proceedings. These two players, well, for Stuart Bingham it's been a relatively fruitless day so far. 2 3-1 defeats by Judd Trump and Martin Gould. Mixed fortunes for Jack Lisowski. He lost his first match 3-1 to Neil Robertson, but then beat Judd Trump 3-1 second time out. So with only 4 players to go through from the 7 in the group to get through into the semi-finals, this is already not quite a make or break match for Stuart Bingham, but it's certainly very important indeed. Has to get some kind of positive result on the scoreboard. Not quite so make or break for Jack Lisowski, but if he could win it, as he misses the red completely, if he could win it with 2 wins out of 3 at the end of day 1, that would be a pretty healthy position. As always, of course, 2 streams for you from the Championship League over on table 2 at the moment. David Hendon is commentating on Mark Selby against Martin Gould. Well, this time taking the cue ball off 2 cushions, a much more acceptable outcome, although there is a red that's available, and it's a shot to nothing as well. You saw there Bingham just slightly off balance, leaning over, but he still generated an awful lot of power. The Reds already pretty nicely split. Oh, but they're now split for Jack Lisowski. Stuart Bingham started like a train today. In his first frame of the morning against 52 and 73, but he didn't win another frame in that match. Trump finishing off with 103 bake. This afternoon against Martin Gould, Bingham made a lovely 57 clearance to win the second frame and draw level at 1-1 on the black. Thereafter, though, it was all Gould. So that's why he's in such a deep hole.
20. 21.
Needed the cue ball to travel there, and I don't think it's travelled quite enough. Even if the red is on, it's really awkward cueing over the black. Playing again right-handed. He can be annoying, Jack Lisowski, because he's so good. Really, with the talent pool that he's got, he should do better. Love watching him play. Last week at the Players' Championship in Preston was a classic example. In the quarter-finals against his good pal Judd Trump, Lisowski led 5-2 but couldn't quite get the job done. He actually went for a very questionable black, I thought, in the deciding frame. He was convinced it was the right shot afterwards and defended himself to the hilt. But he missed that black. Trump stepped in and that was that.
43.
Not nice to lose a big match from 3 up with 4 to play. Mind you, right from the very start of the campaign, he's been playing some lovely snooker. He was runner-up in the Riga Masters in Latvia to Neil Robertson. Quarter-finalist in the World Open and in the European Masters. Ditto Paul Hunter Classic. Semi-finalist, International Championship. And to reach the quarter-finals last week in Preston, he defeated Kyron Wilson in the first round, 6-4.
64. 65.
He's a player full of confidence, and I think the big breakthrough is just around the corner. Arguably, he's the best player yet to win a world ranking event.
73.
And when I say arguably, I would certainly argue for it. I think he is. The century breaks today are being made liberally, and another one could be forthcoming here. Although, it's going to be tough now. No century, but a break of 88. Underlining the fluency and the skill of Jack Lisowski. He leads Stuart Bingham by a frame to 0. It's been a while since these two booked their place in this winners group. Actually, in Jack Lisowski's case, around 2.5 months. He won Group 2 on January the 4th, beating Luca Brissell 3-0 in the group final. And that was after losing 3-0 to Neil Robertson in the Group 1 final a couple of days earlier. As for Stuart Bingham, well, he came into the event in Group 3, lost in the semi-finals there to Judd Trump 3-2. But he made amends the following group, winning Group 4 by beating Mark Selby 3-1 in the final. Today, though, so far, Bingham has found life difficult, and that pattern looks set to continue.
7.
Lisowski has got every reason to be confident. He's currently the world number 15, which is a personal best ranking for him. Oozing self-belief at the moment.
19. 20.
He's not yet done enough mathematically to be sure of seeding at the Crucible this year.
27.
But he's certainly well down the road to a place in the final stages.
28. 35.
Always going to be tough, but a pretty good start to this frame from Jack Lisowski. What made that pot tougher than normal, he couldn't really trickle it in because he wasn't going to hold for the black to the top left-hand pocket as we're looking at the table. So had to play it hard enough to come around the back of the black into the top right. This has been nicely judged. And now, because of so many intervening balls, the return to baulk will not be easy. Far from it. Lisowski gave up on that idea pretty quickly. Well, at least Bingham had the foresight to take the cue ball partially out of harm's way. The red he attempted to middle was always going towards that far jaw. He's only 27 years of age, Jack Lisowski. Turns 28 in late June. Already made over 150 career centuries. Professional now for 9 years. Most certainly wasn't an overnight sensation. Toiled in qualifiers for a number of seasons, but I think it was last season where he really made a mark, and this season he's trained on again. All that's missing is that first title. No one would ever want to change Lisowski. He's a very attacking player. When he's on, he can be intimidating. He's so good. But just the odd one or two shots here and there, if he could rein himself in, I think would make the world of difference. In a positive way. Both of these two will travel to Gibraltar at the end of the week. In the same half of the draw, actually. The bottom half.
7.
Stuart Bingham plays Mike Dunn, a fellow Englishman, in the first round. Lisowski takes on Ahmed Mir. Lisowski can't qualify for the Tour Championship, even if he were to win the Gibraltar Open. But it's a massive tournament in terms of the rankings for Bingham. 6 players have already qualified for the 8-man Tour Championship. Oh, that's a bad miss.
Stuart Bingham, 14.
And then the other 2 places will be filled by Bingham, Kyron Wilson and Dave Gilbert. They're all contesting the Gibraltar Open, and everything is up for grabs. But I'll tell you what, Bingham looks drained of confidence after today. That was a really poor miss. But not as poor as that. In these groups in the Championship League, you've got to keep telling yourself there's time for things to change around, and they do quickly. He didn't want the cue ball to be on this side of the table.
Stuart Bingham 1.
What a funny old game it is. Misses an elementary red, or at least a very straightforward one, and then pots that particular ball. .25 in front, Lisowski.
5.
Ample on the table for him to get over the line and take a 2-0 lead. As we've established, though, he can be a little erratic. Unpredictable. He can throw in the odd, brilliant shot, but also the mystery shot.
18.
But with each passing month, it seems to me as though he's becoming more and more solid.
19.
Still some ways to go in that regard, but he's going in the right direction. Poor old Stuart Bingham. He's played 10 frames now today and won only 2 of them.
Lisowski 34 on the frame.
And so there it is. Lisowski doubles his advantage. Stuart Bingham falling into deeper and deeper trouble in this group. Jack Lisowski 2, Stuart Bingham nil. In terms of the overall head-to-head meetings, I can tell you that Bingham leads 3-2 in victories. I think his most significant win over Lisowski was a 6-2 win in the last 32 of the 2012 UK Championship. But much more recent than that was Lisowski's win over Bingham, 10-7 in the first round of the World Championship last year. Lisowski making breaks of 128 and 105 en route. Over the course of the Championship League, not just this year, but its 12 years of existence, we've seen so many matches won from 2-0 down. But the way Lisowski's playing, you fancy him to complete the task. Stuart Bingham's nickname is Ball Run because players reckon he's lucky. Well, let me tell you this. I thought the run was against him generally in his 3-1 defeat by Martin Gould this afternoon. And things just aren't going right tonight either. Missing the red wasn't a matter of luck, but the fact that Lisowski covered up the red that might have gone to middle with the blue most certainly was. Oh, Jack. Jack. Now this shot here, I think the red was so close to the pocket, maybe he took it for granted. What other explanation could there be? And you never know when you're playing someone of Stuart Bingham's calibre and experience. When you get openings, it pays to take them. News from Table 2, by the way. Mark Selby has taken a 2-0 lead over Martin Gould. Selby's lost both of his matches so far. 3-1 to Neil Robertson, 3-2 to John Higgins, whereas Gould has won both of his. In their meeting, though, it's Selby who's holding sway at the moment.
Stuart Bingham, 8.
Bingham can't seem to build any kind of sustained flow. As I was saying, made 2 sizable breaks in his very first frame this morning against Judd Trump, 52 and 73. Nothing much in that match after it. I thought his 57 clearance to black to steal the second frame from Martin Gould this afternoon was top-notch. But again, after that, his match fizzled out. And here, the Bingham back is against the door. Not bad that. Did well to swing the cue ball round off 2 cushions and avoid the blue. Not exactly a telling safety though. But again you see Lisowski just a little loose. Take a little more time to contemplate and work out where the balls might finish. For this tournament, you don't see it in world ranking events, but Stuart Bingham is one of the players who uses, there you see it, a blue pouch for his chalk. Just save the pockets of the trousers.
Stuart Bingham 4.
Well, he played that pot with check side to avoid going into the bunch, and that made it a whole lot more difficult. So a low-scoring, scrappy frame, this. Bingham leads by 12 points to 6. We've seen some lengthy frames over the last couple of days or so. The closing frame of the final last night in Group 7 took 45 minutes. It was a really disjointed affair, shaded on the green by John Higgins to complete his 3-0 win over Dingjan Wei. This afternoon we had a 40-minute affair. Higgins winning a frame on the black against Mark Selby after requiring a snooker. Now, this one is not going to be anywhere near 40 minutes, I can assure you. But it has been a cagey start. That's okay from Bingham's perspective. I thought for a moment he might turn the red over and leave it on.
Touching ball.
Paul Collier, the referee, calls touching ball, so Stuart Bingham can play away. There I was, confidently predicting this frame wouldn't last 40 minutes. And now at the position of the Reds, I feel a little vulnerable. I might be incorrect. Again, Bingham did well there. 4 cushions in the end. Just skirting past the blue. Well, if Bingham is straight on the yellow, and I believe he is, there might not be any positional future in this. What's the point of just knocking it in for 2 points?
Stuart Bingham.
That makes a lot more sense. This is actually a devilish snooker to escape from. Making contact with the red shouldn't be any issue whatsoever, but making contact and leaving them safe, now that's an entirely different proposition. Even though, in this instance, plenty of them are clustered near the top cushion. Well, no penalty points are given away, but Bingham has a red to start things off.
One.
We haven't seen, very unusually, a whitewash all day, but we're just about to, because Mark Selby finds himself in an unassailable position in frame 3 against Martin Gould. Selby will win 3-0. What was already a tight group has just got tighter.
50.
Now this shot could hold the key to the outcome of the frame. Well, not major displacement of the reds and nothing easy left. Again, Bingham not being the luckiest there.
23.
Can you tell you officially now that Mark Selby is off the mark? Over on table number 2, he's beaten Martin Gould 3-0. And Selby stays on table 2. In the last match of the evening there, he will come up against Judd Trump.
Stuart Bingham, 23.
So Bingham leads by 30 points. Now, in normal circumstances, a 30-point lead with 7 reds left wouldn't be especially significant, but the reds are really awkward. I was just about to say Lisowski needs to unveil his potting skills, and he did there. Cracking opener. And then
Check is
a
absolutely
rudimentary, slowly rolled black is missed. To a large extent, that sums him up, that exchange. You never know what you're going to get. He's a diamond, is Jack Lisowski, but he's still uncut.
one.
If he could just get rid of the mistakes, or at least reduce them to a minimum, no one will ever eradicate them entirely. But if he could just become a little more solid, a little more dependable,
8.
I think he could be an absolutely extraordinary player.
Nine. Sixteen.
Didn't try and do too much with the cue ball there.
Stuart Bingham, 17.
He actually left himself quite a tricky black, which was frame ball. The black would have put him 53 ahead with 51 on. As it is, Lisowski still has hope. He's 46 adrift, 51 on, and that was pretty nifty. Now, is it worth a pop at a speculative red, given that position on the black at least is absolutely guaranteed? Pretty close. But the red hitting the near jaw and running up the side cushion, very much in Bingham's favour. He's going to leave it there at all costs, you would assume. You see there, Bingham would much prefer to risk swerving around the blue than to remove the awkward red. It is the same every year, right from the start in 2008 to the present. When we get down to the winners group, you can see the intensity levels of all of the players increase in tandem with the prize money. More lengthier frames. Less reluctance. To give anything easy away. And this is one of those frames that throughout has pretty much had Bingham's name written all over it. And yet it could still go the other way. Especially after that. Of course, the red on the side cushion can't be potted directly. To remove it would take something magical, but drop in the right place and a double could easily be conjured up. Jack Lisowski plays a lot of shots right-handed, tried to remove the red there, unsuccessful. And also unsuccessful in getting position on the other red. In fact, he snookered on it.
Lisowski 8.
So Lisowski still in there batting. 38 adrift now, 43 on. The big difference though, the table is open. Bingham doesn't have an obvious insurance policy ball. But what he does have is the ability to pot that fantastic red. Super stuff. That's a cracking frame ball to pot. So at this precise moment, Lisowski needs one snooker. If the brown goes in, make that two. Well, he's not even going for the brown, playing hardball.
Stuart Bingham 1.
Well, you get the impression Bingham will slot this one away. He doesn't. He does not. Will that be expensive? You never know. You see, if Lisowski pots red, black, yellow, and then gets the snooker off the green in behind the brown, the whole complexion of the frame could change.
One.
At one point there, I thought he was going to drop pretty straight on the black, but he does have a modicum of angle. Needs to find the gap between brown and green, and he does so.
8.
Now here, it's not just about laying any old snooker, it's about laying a very good one. Needs to be precise.
Jack Lisowski, 10.
Full marks, Jack Lisowski, especially getting the green so close to the pink. I can tell you, by the way, the last match of the day over on table 2 has just begun. Judd Trump against Mark Selby. Now this is some conundrum for Stuart Bingham. Remember, if he does fail to escape and give 4 penalty points away, Lisowski can tie the scores by potting the last 5 colours. Well, better still for Lisowski. Now that Bingham's hit the pink, Lisowski can pinch the frame outright. 23 behind, 25 on. Well, I suppose you could make an argument out to say that was a little slack. The green shouldn't have been anywhere near the blue. But he did catch the blue. Then he caught the bump of the middle pocket. And now Bingham. Again leaving his opponent requiring a snooker. Still, it's only 1 snooker required. 1 successful snooker, that is. So there was no way that Lisowski was going to wave the white flag. Well, that was an absolute cracker. 2 ways. 1, execution-wise, but also the way it was conceived. No certainty to hit this. Bingham's done well. And so has Lisowski. Again, wonderful touch. Now, you wouldn't normally do this, Jack Lisowski, but if he does have a chance to pot brown and blue, he might just at least contemplate it, given where the pink is in relation to the black. Pot brown and blue, drop nicely on that pink, get tight in behind the black for a snooker. That, though, is a moot point now, and the reason is Stuart Bingham spotted the brown and removed any doubt about the frame whatsoever. Well, it's been an interesting day here to start the winners group. This is the 10th match, and of those 10 matches complete, there's only going to be one of them which has been a whitewash, the one we've just seen actually, Mark Selby beating Martin Gould 3-0. Underlines the competitive nature of this group. The score here, Jack Lisowski still waiting to get over the winning line. He was 2-0 ahead of Stuart Bingham, now it's 2-1. While Jack is popped out, let me tell you how the prize money works in this group. Well, the winner of the group gets a £10,000 bonus. The runner-up will receive £5,000. The two losing semi-finalists will each receive £3,000. For every frame you win in the knockout phase, i.e. the semi-finals and final, you receive £300. And for every frame you win in the round-robin phase, it's another £200 to the kitty. The highest break prize is £1,000, and not built into the official prize money, but worth bearing in mind. If you win the tournament, it stamps your ticket to the Champion of Champions next season, where first round losers are guaranteed money of £12,500, and if you win it, you're on a jackpot of £150,000. Now, Judd Trump and Neil Robertson are already qualified for the Champion of Champions, but the other 5 players in this group are not. Talking of Judd Trump, he's definitely going to lose the first frame against Mark Selby, who's threatening to make a century. Doesn't want to nestle in behind the yellow here.
Stooping on 4.
By the way, Selby did make a century in that frame against Trump. That's Selby's 3rd turn of this winners group. Trump himself has already made 3 as well. Nine centuries put together in this group thus far, taking the total for the tournament to 96. So almost inevitable that we're going to get to 100. Stuart Bingham is a ranking event winner this season. Back in October at Crawley, he won the English Open, beating Mark Davis in the final. Stuart, shall I say, Stephen Maguire, 6-3 in the semi-finals. Ali Carter in the quarters, Ricky Walden in the last 16, Tepchire and Nu in the last 32. So he came through a really tough draw to add to his collection of world ranking event wins. And more recently, last month in fact, he was narrowly beaten 9-7 by Neil Robertson in the final of the Welsh Open. Well, I was saying that he's not been getting a kind run of the ball today. That was a couple of frames ago. Now things might have changed. That was extremely fortunate. Lisowski shaking his head in disbelief. That was the definition of a valiant effort. He's a good old pro, Stuart Bingham. You know, he will give 100% every time he goes to the table, whatever the tournament. Big, small, or medium. But he's just not been quite with it today. Took a sneak peek at the black, but that was never the shot. This is coming off a couple of cushions to try and nestle in behind the yellow. Well, that wasn't a nestle. Again, fortunate. Catching a secondary red and still getting into bulk nevertheless. Well, this time he did exactly the same. Cut one red, then the next, because he hit the original red too thin, but he does run it off. That said, okay, it's 4 penalty points away, but nothing there for Lisowski to attempt. He's a wily old fox, is Stuart Bingham. He'll be 43 in May. He's been a professional for 24 years, and the vast majority of his snooker success has come relatively late in life, late in his career. Bingham's now won 5 world ranking titles, the first of which was the 2011 Australian Open, when he was 35 years of age. Also a victor at the Shanghai Masters 2014, Welsh Open 2017. As I mentioned, he won the English Open this season, but the crowning jewel, winning the 2015 World Championship, and boy did he play well to do so. I well remember the Crucible that year. He didn't perform outstandingly by any means to win his first couple of matches, but then in his last 3 from the quarterfinals onwards, he was inspired, overcoming Ronnie O'Sullivan, Judd Trump and Shaun Murphy. I mentioned those ranking titles, and of course Bingham actually has won far more than that in professional snooker. Events like the Premier League in 2012 and of course the Championship League in 2015.
Wow, and a miss.
He's a tough nut,
Stuart Bingham 4.
something of which Jack Lisowski is being reminded. Another tough nut is Mark Selby. He was just about to take a 2-0 lead over Judd Trump on table 2. Mathematically impossible for Trump to get back into that frame, even though it is still going.
It's the right sort of line, I'm just not sure the depth there, that was all. I knew your arm was on the rail, I know, so. Yeah.
Well, the second safety off that shot was much better than the first. Now is the red closest to the top right-hand pocket, just sticking out. Even if it is, it's going to be difficult to get the cue ball out of the congestion. Oh. Lisowski gave it a right old smack. And now Bingham is in amongst them. Before Lisowski's mistake there, it did seem quite an untidy table. Now though, clear scoring potential.
15.
Well, that was a really bad miss.
Stuart Bingham, 22.
He doesn't need me to tell him. More like it from Jack Lisowski, a real Jack special that. Lovely cueing.
Seven. Eight.
At least one of the two reds does go. And I think Lisowski's got some kind of angle on it, although not a great deal. Must concentrate on potting the red, don't try and pinch anything. If he does that, sure as eggs is eggs, he's going to overcut the red, hit the near jaw. Well, he just about wriggled it in off the near jaw, which maximised the angle.
31.
Well, although it's the opposite pocket, Lisowski needs a very similar red to the one that got him started on this break. Equal to the task. Lovely cueing, it really was.
$40.
11 in front, make it 18 when the black goes in. That means even if he takes 3 reds, 3 blacks with the 3 Oaten reds, he will still need one of the 2 close together on that right-hand side cushion, and that's what he's trying to work out. He's been mulling over how to disturb them.
48.
Put together an 88 break to win the first frame.
55.
He's displayed no great fluency since, but this is a tremendous effort.
$60.
So the lead is now 32 points. The black would make it 39, 43 on the table. As I said before, one of those 2 reds has to be potted. And with the angle he's got on the black, it's not exactly friendly in that regard. That's the best he could do, trying to pop the red closest to the side cushion. And I think he can get through, so this is frame ball. Oh, what a cracking break this has been, regardless of the circumstances. But as a clinching break, it is absolutely up there. Yet another right-handed shot from the left-hander.
77.
One of those breaks where you really hope he goes on to make a century. I think we can forget that now.
84.
Jack Lisowski made an 88 break in the first frame, and 84 in what proved to be the last. It's not been a good day for Stuart Bingham at all. 3 matches played, 3 defeats. But for Jack Lisowski, as Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Jack Lisowski 3, Stuart Bingham 1. Lisowski's day is over, but Stuart Bingham's is not. He returns to take on John Higgins on table 1 in around 10 minutes' time, and that's the last action from table 1 of the day. I'll also return to provide the commentary. We'll see you then.